Chapter 43 of Jin Ping Mei Chongzhen version of the embroidered portrait, competing for favor, and favoring the golden lotus to make people angry, selling wealth and wealth to woo you to get married. The word says, feelings increase with despair, new love is easy to lose, and past events are hard to guess. Ask the yellow chrysanthemum on the fence, who is blooming for it. Worry must linger in the wine. Before the wine wakes up, the sorrow will return first. After leaning on the railing for a long time, the golden waves gradually turned, with white dew and green moss. When Simon King returned home, it was already 3 o'clock. Wu Yunyang was still talking to Wu Dejinzi and others, and Li Pinger was still serving him wine. When Da Jinzi saw Simon King coming home, he went over there. Seeing that he was drunk, Yunyang sent him to take off his clothes. Li Pinger just kowtowed to him, sat down together, and asked him what he had said at the banquet today. You shall order tea. Because Da Guzi was there, he went to rest in Meng Yu's building. The next day, the cook came early to clear the banquet. Simon King first went to the Yamen to pay homage to the cards and distribute them in large numbers. Jia Tixing saw him and thanked him for the trouble. Simon King said, I was very rude yesterday. Forgive me. Forgive me. Kong's sister-in-law, the envoy of Kiao Dahu's family, had already come to our house and led Mrs. Kiao Wu's family to give gifts. Simon King accepted it, and his family took care of the food and wine. Mrs. Kong went into Yunyang's room and sat down. Wu Shenzhen's daughter-in-law, Sanji Zheng, also arrived first in her sedan chair. They paid homage to Yunyang and everyone sat down to have tea. Just as Li Zi and Huang Si were locking up 1,000 taels of fragrant wax silver, Ben Si was escorted from Dongbing Mansion. Earl Ying inquired and learned that he also came to help with the payment. Simon King ordered Chen Jingji to use the scale to balance the balance in the hall and accepted. Huang Si took out 4 more gold bracelets, which weighed 30 taels. After calculating the interest of 150 taels, he still owed 500 taels, so he had to change the contract. Simon King told the 2 of them, you can wait until after the Lantern Festival to discuss the matter. I have been busy at home for the past few days. Then Li Zi and Huang Si, the elder brother and the younger brother, went out with many thanks. Earl Ying remembered that the 2 had promised him some karma, so he took this opportunity to ask him for it. When he was about to follow him, he was stopped by Simon King to speak, because he asked, yesterday, you had 3 people. Why did you leave without knowing it? The Count said, yesterday, I really disturbed my brother. I had too much wine. I saw that my brother also had wine. Today, when there is wine in my sister-in-law's house, I must return it. Wait for me to say something. If I don't leave, why would you bother me? I guess I didn't go to the office today. I've been working hard for a long time. Simon King said, it's already midnight today. I went to the Yamen early to pay my respects, handed out the cards, and went back to my business. Today, I put the Yuan Zhao in the temple, picked up some incense, and went to Zhou Juxuan's house to have a drink. We just got home. The Count said, Brother Kui, you are so lucky. If it is not a face reward, it will not be possible if it is the second one. The 2 talked about it, and Simon King wanted to stay with the Count for dinner. And the Count said, I don't want to eat. Let's go. Simon King asked again, why doesn't my sister-in-law come? The Earl said, the sedan chair has been called down, so I'm coming. He raised his hand and went out, chasing Huang Si, and Li Zi went. Exactly, fake people use the magic of fog and clouds, and they only need money to get fire, diamonds and ice. Simon King sent the Count away, holding 4 yellow gold bracelets in his hand. He was very cute in his heart. He said nothing in his heart, saying secretly, the child born by Sister Li has very hard feet. Once he raises it, I will be on the ground. I got some officials. I got married to the Kiao family today and made a lot of money. So he held the 4 gold bracelets in his sleeves and walked straight to Li Pinger's room. When he was walking to Pan Jinlian's corner door, Jinlian came out and asked him, what is that in your hand? Come here and let me take a look. Simon King said, I'll take a look at it when I come back. He carried it all the way to Li Pinger. Seeing that she couldn't call him back, Jinlian felt a little embarrassed in her heart and said, what a rare thing. You are so busy. You are bluffing. If you don't show me, you are a 3-inch robber who broke his legs. went into his door, and both of his legs were broken together. And then he showed my eyes, but it was said that Simon King took the gold and walked into Li Ping'er's room. He had just combed his hair when he saw Li Ping'er, who was playing with her baby in her arms. Simon King held 4 gold bracelets in his arms and taught him how to do them. Li Ping'er said, "Where is it? I'm afraid of freezing his hand." Simon King said, "It's Li Zi and Huang Si who returned the silver today with interest." Li Ping'er was afraid of freezing him, so he took his side tongue a sweat towel, wrapped with him to play. I saw Dan coming up and said, "Brother Yen is here on 2 horses. He's asking Dad to come out and have a look." Simon King asked, "Brother Yen, where is the horse from?" Dan said, "He said it was his brother." Yun Shen brought it from the side. Just as he was talking, Li Jiar and Meng Yulu accompanied Da Jinzi and his wife Zhang Sanji, all coming to Li Ping'er's room to see the official brother. Simon King lost the 4 ingots of gold and went outside to watch the horses. When Li Ping'er saw the crowd coming, he just bowed to everyone and gave way to his seat, forgetting that the child was fidgeting with the gold, but 1 ingot was missing. Ryer, the nurse, asked Li Ping'er, "Didn't mother take away the ingot of gold that my brother was playing with? Why is there only 3 ingots and 1 ingot missing?" Li Ping'er said, "I didn't take it away. I took the sweat away. I'll wrap it up for him." Ryer said, "The sweat towel has also fallen on the ground. Where can I get that ingot of gold?" The room became chaotic. When the grandma asks about Yingxun, she asks Lao Feng when it comes to Yingxun. Lao Feng said, Yeah, I've been blind since I was old, and I can't see. I've been here for several years, and I don't dare to move. Not to mention breaking the needle or breaking the thread. Mother, he knows that I am gold. I don't love you either. Why are you wronging me every time you guard me?" Li Ping'er laughed and said, "Look, this mother is talking nonsense. What's missing here if it's not gold?" She scolded her again. "Yingxun, smelly meat. What is this mess? When your father comes in and I ask him, I'm afraid your father took it. Why only 1 ingot?" Meng Yulu asked, "Where is the gold?" Li Ping'er said, "His father brought it to play with his children. Who knows where it came from?" Let's say that Simon King was watching the horses at the door. All the waiters and their families were in front of him, and he asked the boy to sneak back and forth twice. Simon King said, "Although it's a horse from the east, it has an ugly mane and tail, and it's not very good at it. It's just a small business." He asked Yen, "How much money does your brother want for this horse?" Yunli said, "2 horses only cost 70 taels." Simon King said, "It's not much. It's just that I can't do it." "So you took it. There are also good horses riding here, not to mention the money." After saying that, Simon King came in. I saw Qin Tong saying, "Daddy is invited to Liu Niang's room." Then he walked into Li Ping'er's room. Li Ping'er asked him, "Have you collected 1 ingot of gold? Why are there only 3 ingots here?" Simon King said, "I left it and went out to watch the horses." "Who will collect it?" Li Ping'er said, "You confiscated it. But where did you go? I have been looking for it all day." The old Feng was anxious and cursed, but he just cried. "Who took it? Let him take his time. Let's look for it." Li Ping'er said, "I forgot about it because my 2 daughters were here. I just told you to take it away, but you didn't take it either, so I started looking for it." They were so scared that they all left, so he gave the 3 ingots to Simon King for collection. Just as Ben Sicking came to hand over 100 taels of silver, Simon King went back to collect the silver. Let's say that Pan Jinlian heard Li Ping'er shouting that a gold bracelet that the child was playing with was missing, so she came to the room first and told Yunyang, "Sister, look at this 3-inch piece. You're doing this for a living. No matter how rich your family is, you shouldn't play with your children with gold." Yunyang said, "Just now he told me that the gold bracelet was missing from his room. Where did it come from?" Said, "Who knows where he is from? You haven't seen him yet." He brought his head in from outside and wrapped it with the sleeves of his coat, just like the 8 barbarians bringing in treasures. I asked him what it was, and brought it over and let me take a look. The boss didn't look back, and kept running towards the house. After a while, he started to rebel and said that a piece of gold was missing. He just said it was missing and let him find it slowly. Your family can't even afford it. A gold ingot weighs at least 10 to 6 taels, so it's just nothing. Who is going into his room? Just as he was talking, Simon King came in, cashed in Ben's sicking silver, and handed the remaining 3 ingots of gold to Yunyang, because he told Yunyang, "These are the 4 ingots of gold returned by Li Zi and Huang Si." They played with the children and 1 ingot disappeared. He ordered Yunyang, "You and I will call the girls in each room for interrogation." Interrogation. I sent the boy to buy wolf tendons on the street. I would have taken them out earlier. Otherwise I would have made the wolf tendons twitch. Yunyang said, "In any case, this gold should not be given to the child. It is so heavy. What's wrong with him?" And smashing his hands and feet for a while, Pan Jinlian took it and said, "Shouldn't you play with the child? I just wish I couldn't get him into the house. I don't want to turn around. It's like a red eye. The army is robbing the future. No one knows. This time the gold is missing. Why do you have the nerve to tell the eldest sister? Ask the eldest sister to check the girls in each room for you. And ask the girls in each room not to smile." His eyes are also smiling. After saying a few words, Simon King became anxious. He walked forward and pressed the golden lotus on the Yunyang King. He raised his fist and cursed. "Just kill me. If you don't care about the world, I'll kill you. A little crooked boy. I'll beat you to death with a fist. You're a sharp-tongued person, so I'll get involved no matter what you do." Then Pan Jinlian pretended to be Qiao Zhuang, started to cry, and said, "I know you rely on your official position and your wealth. Lord, you are so cruel. I am the only one being bullied. You said you were so powerful that you killed half a man. You didn't care. Isn't that the one who stopped you? I'll fight you however you want. It's rare that I can fight like this. If it doesn't happen, I'll worry about my sick mother not asking you for help. It doesn't matter how rich and powerful your family is. I'll give you a piece of paper." "What do you mean? You are just a poor official in the government office. How many people can you kill if you don't dare to kill the emperor?" Simon said in a few words. King Fan chuckled and said, "Look at this little crooked boy. How naughty he is. Am I a poor official with a broken gauze hat? Teach the girl to get my gauze hat. Is this gauze hat in pieces?" This question from King County. "Hey, who do I have money for? You said I'm a debtor." Jin Lian said, "Why do you think I'm crooked? Why are you calling me crooked?" Yunyang said with a smile, "You do copper basins hit the iron brush. As the saying goes, evil people have their own problems. And there is nothing you can do when you see evil people. Take a step forward. Sixth sister, it's your fault for being such a talkative person. Otherwise you wouldn't be able to do it if you were blunt." Seeing that there was nothing he could do, Simon King put on his clothes and went out. When he met Dan, he came and said, "Master Zhou's family has sent someone to invite you. Could you please go to the place where the ceremony is held first? Or to Master Zhou's house?" Simon King said, "Teach your brother-in-law to go to the place where the ceremony is held. Serve the horses. I'm just going to have a drink at your Master Zhou's house." I saw Wang Wang's family pretending to be a master and two masters came over and kowtowed to Simon King. Simon King taught the boy to watch the meal and eat with him, saying, "Please serve me carefully today. Grandma, I have a big reward. Don't go up there to pack the box." The master knelt down and said, "How dare you ask for the reward if you don't agree with me?" Simon King told the boy, "He sang for 2 days. I will give him 5 taels of silver as a reward." The boy promised. Simon King got on his horse and went to Zhou Shu's house to have a drink. Pan Jinlian was sitting in the upper room, so Wu Yunyang said, "Why don't you go back into the room and knead your face? It's so red. Wait until someone comes back to look at Zhangzi. Who told you to mess with him? Come, I'll sweat it for you. If I hadn't been there to persuade him, I would have beaten him a few times. Get up. If the gold is missing, just let him go. He is not with you. And he is not in your house. Why bother trying to force him to do it for nothing? What a shame for you," Jin Lian said. He remained silent and went back into the house to smoothen his face. After a while, Li Pinger and Wu Yin are both dressed up and went to Yunyang's room. Yunyang asked him, "Why is the gold missing?" "I just provoked his father and sixth sister. They couldn't argue with each other here. This time, they almost started fighting. I persuaded him to leave. His father said I went to someone else's house to have a drink. I asked the boy to buy wolf tendons. When he comes home in the evening, he will whip up the girls in each room. Which one is in charge of the house?" I gave him a piece of gold. "So what if it's only half a penny?" Li Pinger said. His father brought in 4 pieces of gold to play with the child, and I was messing around with the agency, Sanji Jung, and his second mother. While we were sitting talking, the pill disappeared. Now the girl is pushing her breasts, and her breasts are pushing Old Fang. The anxious mother is crying, and it's hard to see what she is doing. Who is being wrong now? God! I often play tricks with my brother. As early as today I was combing my hair in this room. Otherwise what would happen? Even if my parents don't say anything. Who doesn't love money? People here are most afraid of having this reputation. It will sound ugly. Just as he was talking, Han Yuchuaner and Dong Zhaoer came in carrying clothes and bags. They kowtowed to Yun Yang, Da Jinzi, and Li Pinger with smiles. Then they stood up and looked at Wu Yin'er. Bodan said, "Sister Yin, didn't you go home yesterday?" Wu Yin'er said, "How do you know?" Dong Zhaoer said, "Yesterday, we both sang in the house on Dengshi Street, and my eldest father told us to come and serve grandma today." Yan Yunyang asked the two of them to sit down. After a while, Xiao Yu brought 2 cups of tea. Han Yuchuaner and Dong Zhaoer quickly stood up to receive the tea and bowed to Xiao Yu. Wu Yin'er asked, "Did you just sing too much yesterday?" Han Yuchuan said, "When we got home, there were 2 more, and we went together with your brother Wu Huidu." After saying this, Yunyang told Yu Xiao, "Let's send them to have tea earlier. I'm afraid people over there will be busy when we get back." Putting down the table, there were 2 spring cups and 4 boxes of tea and food. Yunyang said to Xiao Yu, "Your second mother-in-law has invited Sister Gui to come and have tea with her." After a while, he and his girl arrived, and they both said politely and sat down, had tea together, and went home. Live, suddenly I saw him dressed for the spring festival, and he brought the official brother in his arms. He wore a golden beam satinate auspicious hat on his head, a bright red cloak, white silk socks and satin shoes underneath, a necklace with a charm on his chest, and a talisman on his hand. Put on the little gold bracelet. Li Pinger saw it and said, "Little official, no one has invited you. What are you doing here?" He took it and put it on his knees. When I saw a room full of people, I couldn't help but look at one person and another, sitting on the moon bed. Sister Gui teased him with a smile and said, "Brother, he's just looking here. He thinks he needs me to hold him." Then she used her hand to lead him, and the child threw himself into her arms and taught him how to hold him. Wu Dejinzi smiled and said, "Be a little kid. He also knows his hobbies." Yunyang took over and said, "Who is he? When he grows up tomorrow, he will be a prostitute." Meng Yulu said, "If you become a prostitute, I'll beat you to death if you tell me." Li Pinger said, "Young man, if your sister hugs you, I'll beat her to death as long as you don't wear her clothes." Sister Gui said, "Yeah, what are you afraid of? It doesn't matter if you drown me. I want to play with you." So I started talking to him. Dong Zhaoer and Han Yuchuaner said, "On this day since we came here, we have never sung with my mother, because they took instruments." Han Yuchuaner played the pipa, Dong Zhaoer played the zither, and Wu Yin'er also sang with her. Sang a set of prosperous full moon blooming and Indus hanging on golden cords. When she sang a sentence, there was a sound like falling dust swirling around the beams, cracking stones, and flowing clouds, which frightened Brother Guan so much that he fell down in Sister Gui's arms, not daring to raise his head again to vent his anger. When Yunyang saw it, she called out, "Sister Li, take the child and teach Yingxun to carry it into the house. You are such an immature little boy. Look at his bluffing face." Li Pinger quickly took it over, asked Yingxun to cover his ears, and carried him to the room over there. While the 4 singers were singing, Diane came in and said, "Young man, go and invite Mrs. Kiao's wife." Grandma Ju and Chang Juren's wife have both come to Kiao's house. They are just waiting for Mrs. Kiao Wu to arrive. Here we are. There are drums and music playing in front of the gate and in the hall. Mother just needs to prepare and serve. Yunyang then ordered the brocade blanket to be laid out in the back hall, and the seats to be ranged. Roll up the curtain, the golden hooks are double controlled, and the fragrance of orchid and musk floats. Chunmai, Yingxun, Jade Flute, and Orchid are all dressed up. The wives of the family all wear gold, silver, red and green clothes, preparing to welcome the new bride. I saw Earl Ying's wife, Ying Ersao, arrived first, and Ying Bao followed the sedan. Yunyang waited to welcome her in. After seeing the etiquette, he sat down in the open room, bowed to Yoon again and again, and said, "I'm always troubled by my family, so please take care of me." Yoon said, "Second mother, it's easy to say. I often tire your second father." After a long time, I heard the sound of shouting approaching, and the sound of drums in the front hall. Pinginner came in first and reported, "Mrs. Kiao's sedan has arrived." In a moment, a group of people were surrounded by darkness, and the five-top sedan landed at the front of the door. But Mrs. Kiao's sedan was in the head. The sedan had a silver top with hanging pearls, a heavy ajuram, and a silk gold flowing sedan dress, which was made of rattan sticks to drink the road. The family's daughter-in-law followed in a sedan chair, for school captains carried suitcases and stoves, and two family members in Xingyi rode ponies. Following behind, the others were Kiao Dahu's wife, Chu Taiguan's wife, Shang Juren's wife, Chui Dogwen's wife, Duane's wife, and Kiao Tung's wife, who were also sitting in a small sedan and followed to fold their clothes. Wu Yunyang, Li Jier, Meng Yulu, Pen Jinlian, Li Ping'er, and Sun Zue, all dressed in dazzling pink makeup and jade, all went out to greet her. Mrs. Kiao Wu came in surrounded by guests. He is of short stature and about 70 years old. He is wearing a crown of emerald pearls and a red palace embroidered robe. When viewed from close-up, his hair on the temples is all white. Exactly, the eyebrows are divided into 8 lines of snow. The bun is tied with a nest of silk. The eyes are slightly muddy like autumn water, and the temples are like the pale clouds of Chushan Mountain. After entering the back hall, he first discussed the etiquette with Wu Dejinzi, and then met with Yoon and others. Yoon repeatedly asked the wife to accept the ceremony, but the wife refused, so she gave in for half a day and accepted the ceremony. The next time I met Kiao Dahu's wife, and talked about the etiquette of her new in-laws. They talked to each other and thanked her for her kindness. After that, a Jinyan seat was placed in front of the Jin Ping screen, and Mrs. Kiao Wu sat on it, followed by Mrs. Kiao Dahu. Mrs. Kiao Dahu said repeatedly, "My nephew dare not tamper with the fifth wife." Mrs. Zhu Taiguan and Shang Juren were asked to do so, but they both refused. After giving in to each other for a long time, Mrs. Kiao Wu took the first seat, and the other guests sat in the east and west seats. A fire was burning in the large firebox, and the air in the hall was as warm as spring. Shun Mai, Ying Shun, Yuxiao, Lang Shang, for ordinary girls, all dressed up and passing tea in front of them. After a long time, Mrs. Kiao Wu said to Yoon, "Please come out to see Sir Ximen and talk about family ties." Yoon said, "I have gone to the Yemen today, and I haven't come home yet." Mrs. Kiao Wu said, "Sir, what official do you live in?" Yoon said, "He is a villager who was granted the title of Qianhu by the imperial court. It is really shameful for the Han family to marry his in-laws." Mrs. Kiao Wu said, "What did you say? It's enough for you to be as dignified as an adult. Yesterday, I heard that I was willing to give up my nephew to marry my husband, and I was very happy. I'm here to meet you today, and we can see you tomorrow." Yoon said, "It's just a disgrace to the name of the old lady." Mrs. Kiao Wu said, "What are you talking about? The imperial court does not want to marry the common people. It's a long story for me. Now the Empress of the East Palace is my niece. His parents are both no more, only the old man. When the old man was here, he used to be a hereditary commander, but unfortunately he died at the age of 50. He had no children or grandchildren around him, so it was his nephew who took his place. He had no money, but now he is a wealthy man. Although my nephew is a servant, he has lived a good life, and he will not stain his family." After talking about it, Wu Dejinzi said to Yoon, "Take the child and come out to see the old lady to ask for her life." Li Ping'er hurriedly ordered her breasts to carry Brother Guan to kowtow to his wife. Mrs. Kiao looked at it and praised. "What a decent brother," she called to the left and right. Quickly opened the felt bag, held an end of the palace's purple and yellow brocade, and a pair of gold-plated bracelets, and wore them with her brother. Yoon quickly came down and thanked her. "Please go to the room and change your clothes." After a while, 4 tables were placed in the rolling shed in front to serve tea. Each table had 40 dishes, including various tea fruits, delicate pastries, and so on. After having tea, Yoon went to the Shanxi garden behind and played for a while. At that time, Chen Jingji went to perform a ritual ceremony and came back after having lunch. Together with Xu Tunger and Da Anner, they had already ranged the tables and seats in the front hall and invited all the grandmothers to bring wine to the table. It's a nice feast, but see, the peacock is open, and the hibiscus is hidden in the mattress. There are piles of exotic fruits and treasures on the plate, and golden flowers and green leaves in the vase. The furnace burns charcoal of beasts, and the fragrance smells like ambergris. The white jade dish is piled high with Lin-preserved meat, and the purple gold pot is filled with fine wine. The children of the Liuan are holding phoenixes, flutes in their hands. The singers in the inner courtyard are pressing the silver zither and elephant board tightly. There are 2 beautiful women in Luopu who are drinking wine, and 2 maids who are offering fragrance or changa. Exactly, in front of 2 rows of pearls and emeralds, a group of music performers sat down. Wu Yunyang and Li Pinger passed the wine together, while the actors and drums were playing below the steps. Mrs. Kiao and other relatives personally held a candle to Li Pinger to wish her birthday, and then sat down at the banquet. For singers, Li Guiji, Wu Yin'er, Han Yuchuaner, and Dong Zhaoer sang a set of Shubi Nanshan in front of the banquet. The actor presented the script of the play, and Mrs. Kiao ordered her to come down and teach him how to make Wang Yueying leaf shoes. On the night of the Yuan dynasty, the cook came up to offer a small roast goose and was rewarded with 5 coins. By the time the 5 pots are cut off, the soup and chen are presented 3 times. The drama is folded in 4 parts, and it is already getting late. There were candles in the hall, all kinds of lanterns were lit, brocade ribbons were fluttering, and colorful ropes were spinning low. A bright moon rises from the east, illuminating the lights in the hall. The musician was again at the foot of the stairs, playing the pipa, zither, harp, sheng, flute and flute, playing a set of lantern poems prefaced to the thrush, the flowery moon full of the fragrant city. After the playing, Mrs. Kiao and Mrs. Kiao called the actors and rewarded them with 2 packages of 1 tael of silver, and for singers with 2 coins each. Yunyang placed many fruit plates in the open room at the back and sat back. All 4 tables were full, singing, playing, and drinking again. Mrs. Kiao repeatedly said it was late and wanted to get up. Yunyang couldn't keep the money, so she sent it to the front of the gate. She also stopped the door to hand out wine and watch the fireworks. On the streets on both sides, there were rows of people watching. Pingener and other platoon troops held sticks to block him again and again, but they still came forward. After a while, a firework was set off, and the people on both sides dispersed. Mrs. Kiao and the other ladies had just said goodbye to Yunyang and others, got up and got into the sedan chair. It was also the 3rd watch at that time. And then I saw my second sister-in-law get up again. The Yunyang sisters returned to the back and ordered Chen Jingji, Lake Sing, Shetong, and Dayaner to watch the living room, tidy up the household chores, take care of the actors, and the 2 normal students, pay them 5 taels of silver, and send them away. Yunyang ordered her to come out and save a table of food and half a can of wine. She invited Mr. Fu, Bai Si and brother-in-law Chen, and said, every time he works hard, let's all have a good drink. Let's put a table in the hall. You can, father. I don't know how long it will take before we get back. So there was still a lamp left. And now Mr. Fu, Bai Si, Jing Qi, and Lai Bo sat down, while Lai Sheng, Shu Tong, Dan, and Pingen poured out the wine. Lai Bo called Pingener. You also appointed someone to be the gatekeeper, because I'm afraid that when Dad comes back, there will be no one to guard the door. Pingen said, I'll ask the painting boy to watch it. It's okay. So the 8 people guessed and drank. Jingqi said, you guess every time, make a fuss, and make the people behind you hear. Why don't we quietly give orders and play tricks? Everyone wants to say something. If you say something, you will be exempted, but if you cannot say it, you will be fined a large drink. The man Fu said first, you can laugh at the lantern festival grass things. Bai Si said, there are countless joys in life. Jingqi said, take advantage of the moonlight and light. Lai Bao said, let's not let it down. Lake Sing said, I just made an appointment with GR, not here. The book boy said, I followed the aunt's instructions. Dan said, although there are still wine and lamps left, it's a spring breeze. After reading, everyone laughed. Exactly, after drinking and leaving, I don't know how bright the moon is.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.